Yo guys, what's going on? I'm Tim along with Nate. We have covered pretty much all the big games that have gone down throughout March Madness, and it all comes down to tomorrow. The number 1 overall seed, Kentucky, will play the Kansas Jayhawks, who were the number 2 seed in their section of the bracket for the national title. This features Anthony Davis, the Player of the Year, and Bill Self, who was just named the Naismith Coach of the Year as well. So it features a lot of intriguing matchups. And while Anthony Davis gets all the credit for Kentucky, Thomas Robinson has had a really nice tournament for Kansas. So Nate, get into it and give me your thoughts about this game and who ultimately wins.
Okay, Tim, I think this is going to be a down-to-the-wire game, just like both the games were this past Saturday. Both games this past Saturday were phenomenal, and they were all deserving teams that played. I think those 4 teams that played this past Saturday were probably the best Final Four that could have come out of this bracket. Looking at this game for tomorrow night, our 2 biggest playmakers are Davis for Kentucky and Robinson for Kansas. Surprisingly, overall this year, Robinson has more average points and more average rebounds than Davis does. That sort of surprised me as a stat, because everyone talks about Davis being Player of the Year, and I know he's a playmaker, but I really like Robinson as a player. He plays clutch. He plays when he needs to play, and he plays well when he needs to play well. I think what it's going to come down to here, Tim, is coaching. And I just don't think Calipari's as good of a coach as Bill Self. Bill Self is just probably one of the best coaches right now in the NCAA basketball.
So you're taking Kansas in this one?
Yup.
Alright, I see Kentucky, and here's why. You mentioned that Robinson has better offensive numbers, but Anthony Davis defensively is just an absolute monster who'll give you 4 or 5 blocks a game, and you add that onto his offensive performance. Last night, he did better than the offensive numbers that he had averaged, and he's done that through most of the games throughout the tournament, and that's why I think they're going to win. I do agree that Bill Self is probably a little bit better of a coach than Calipari, but Calipari faced Bill Self in the national title about 4 or 5 years ago when Memphis played against Kansas, and probably the best game that I've ever seen in college basketball when Kansas won that game late. And I think that Calipari's got that in the back of his mind. And the bottom line is, while Self might be a better coach, I just think that this Kentucky team is too good to lose this game. And that's why I see them winning this game by 6 or 7 points. I think throughout the game it'll be a pretty close game. And I think late in this game, Kentucky will take over and win. And at the end of the game, they'll be up by 4 or so, and they'll add on some foul shots. So I think you're looking at a score where Kentucky wins by probably 6 or 7 points.
Yeah, and that's a good prediction, Tim, but the thing I just don't see about that is a lot of people liked OSU this year because of their defense, and even though Kansas played one of the worst games it's played so far, in my opinion, in that Final Four game, they still came back and won. They're a team that doesn't give up. They're a team that they're not a team that's just going to let Kentucky win in the last few minutes. Kansas is just going to keep pushing till that score is complete final and the clock has run to 0.00.
But I think last night Ohio State should have won that game. I think that they lost that game just as much as Kansas won that game. And I think Kentucky flat out was just the better team in their Final Four matchup. And that to me is why I believe Kentucky is going to win this game. Shout out to Tom Mullins of BeforeTheKickoff.com for the logo you're seeing in this. You can find me on Twitter at CashKelly_TRST. There's our national title preview. Give us yours in the comments below, and we will be here as soon as the game goes final with a rapid reaction video. We'll catch you guys later.